Hey there everybody, my name is Tom of MTG Radio, and today is a good day because today got a YouTube video coming for you. I know you're ecstatic about that. And the main reason it's coming, I'm going to be really so I just love this deck. I've been having a blast with it. The deck build's actually up on the YouTube channel, so I figured why don't we try it out one more time and kind of get into it. So I'm playing Ephara, God of the Polis here. 2 white blue for a 6/5 indestructible god. As long as my devotion white and blue is less than 7, Ephara isn't a creature. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if I had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, I draw a card. Now, this is very important, really important for that ability, is that it's each turn, not just like my turn. So you're going to see a lot of effects that are going to let us flip tokens onto the battlefield during our opponent's turns, so we can continue that card draw. In fact, there's one thing I found with this general, especially when we have it on the battlefield, is that we just are lousy with cards, and it's really difficult to not just keep putting stuff into play. Now this is MTGO version 4, so the first thing you're going to see me do is actually tap out. We're going to be utilizing a key known as F8. It's very important. As long as our lands are tapped and we cannot activate abilities to 0, last will be autoing the turn. It just makes the game go faster. EDH, in notoriously slow format, it's nice to make it go a little bit faster when we can. Our top left player is playing one of the new Dragon Lords. This video is coming out right when DTK Dragon's Dark here hit MTGO. Dragon Lord Atarka is 5 red-green for an 8/8 with flying and trample, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and/or planeswalkers your opponents control. Really important is it doesn't hit players. It doesn't have the Bogartan Hellkite effect that way, so it's still an 8/8 flying trampler, which it still kills you in 3 hits, so very scary. Our middle player is playing Child of Alara. Child of Alara is white, blue, black, red, green for a trampling 6/6. When it dies, destroy all non-land permanents. They cannot be regenerated. And our top right player, well, they're playing Sharum the Hegemon. That is 3 white, blue, black for a flying 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. We're, again, just going to keep tapping out. I don't really feel a need to leave a path. There's no purpose at this point. I mean, maybe we hit like an early card, but we can still do that on turn 3. We're not going to be cycling this Mold Drifter until we have our Ephara down. One of my favorite things to do with the Mold Drifter is draw 3 cards off of it instead of 2 cards. It just, I mean, the value you get out of this deck is amazing. One of my favorite decks to play right now is Sidisi, and that deck is just a slow mill, kind of grindy Soul Tie deck. It's super fun. I love that deck a lot. It's a blast. But the thing is, like, if you think that deck gets value, this deck, once Ephara gets going, is just card after card after card after card. Actually, another reason I'm building this deck is I'm playing this deck, or at least making a video for it, is that earlier in the week, as in yesterday, I went down to Armada Games, and Armada Games is my local play shop, and I took it in real life for a spin, and I only lost 1 game, and that was to a Kalia deck who went turn 2 Stranic Resonator, turn 3 pass, turn 4 Kalia, turn 5 attack with Kalia, put into play Gisela, and copy Kalia's triggered ability to put into play a Udvara Hellkite. And we're like, oh, we're all dead. Good job. Anger comes into play. That's 3 in a red for a 2/2 with haste. As long as Anger's in your graveyard and you control Mountain, which he does, creatures you control have haste. Really efficient, really kind of good creature if you're trying to go aggressive. The main issue is that people kind of realize, yeah, you don't want to block that thing. We're not going to path it. There's going to be multiple ways for this green-red deck to just put mana into play, to give his creatures haste, so no reason to go that way. We are going to leave it Path to Exile this time. I have a bad feeling about what's coming out of our opponent's next turn. Darkshell Ingot comes down. 3 mana for an uncommon artifact that's indestructible. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Very efficient card. It's been printed in multiple commander sets just because of how well it does what it's supposed to do. The indestructible part comes up sometimes, but not often, unless you're playing against Fracturing Gusts, so you're playing against austere commands. Rarely does this really shine. But it's a really cool card, and it just does what it's supposed to do. Recently, I've been playing Commander Sphere over Darkshell Ingot. I just think Commander Sphere allows the controller a little bit more flexibility, especially in decks that can really utilize it. Our target deck just cracked a Jund Panorama to find himself a Mountain, and cracked a Terramorphic Expanse to find himself a Mountain too, so must be a couple of triple red dragons in this deck, which makes sense. Dragons like their red. So I can definitely see a lot of red being utilized for this build. If we had had an island, we would have played the island over the Moorland Haunt, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. Our fourth turn is going to be Ephara every single time. It just is. Every single time it will always be Ephara. Unless like we're worried about counter magic, which is possible. Oh, very important. So there has been a big change in how Commander works in real life, not online. In real life, the tuck rule no longer exists. So it used to be you were able to tuck an opponent's commander. If you put a commander into their hand or onto the bottom of the library, that's where it stayed until your opponent recast it. That effect no longer exists on MTGO. That effect still exists on MTGO, and it will exist until about Magic the Gathering Origins comes on to Magic the Gathering Online, which will be sometime in July. So tuck rule is still in effect, so we are still going to play around the tuck rule if we can. We are definitely a deck that doesn't want its general tucked. Heliod, God of the Sun, comes down, 3 and a white for an indestructible 5/6. As long as your devotion of white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Other creature you control have vigilance, and for 2 double white, put a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token onto the battlefield. I'm concerned about this guy. Oh, not really. Seeing a Heliod out of our Chatelard deck can mean a couple of different things. The main thing, it probably means that this is a legendary god deck. They exist. They're okay. If you let them kind of run unabated, they can definitely steal a game or two. But overall, they just feel really clunky. A lot of the gods don't interact well with each other, so they can definitely find some clashing ideologies, I guess, might be the best way to put it. We've got 4 mana up. I don't think our opponent's going to counter our Ephara. I hope they're not going to counter our Ephara, but they're just as likely to counter Hero Bladehold as their Ephara. So I'm just going to cast my commander and see what they say. Alright, Ephara. Show them what you're working with. Alright, and it resolves. Alright, so now the rest of this game is easy peasy. It's not, because we're playing against some pretty decent decks, it looks like, but it should be a little bit good. I'm not showing chat. Whenever I play online, I'm not streaming, I'm usually showing chat, but I usually talk in chat, but it takes up a little bit of the room on the board, if you can tell. So, Ryu said the Falling Star coming down, 5 and a red for a 5/5 flyer. When it dies, it deals 5 damage to each creature without flying. No! Yes. It's going to be pale in comparison to our Moldrifter that's going to just draw 3 cards next turn. We actually have a pretty fun card in our hand as well. I don't know if you've ever seen this one before, but it's Repel Intruders. It's from a cycle of these pretty cool cards from Shadowmoor. 3-white-blue for an instant from Shadowmoor. I can put 2 1/1 white Kithkin Soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield if white was spent to cast Repel Intruders. And I can counter up to 1 target creature spell if blue was spent to cast Repel Intruders. Looks like Swords of Plowshares takes out the reuse of the Falling Star. Which, I mean, I guess that makes not casting Hero Bladehold a little bit better. I still think, again, Ephara is always the best call for this deck. If you want to try out the deck on your own, this will always be your best call in turn 4. It lets the deck function. It lets the deck really kind of play at a fevered pace, at a really fast pace. You have a Demonic Tutor coming down, 1 in the black for a sorcery. You search your library for a card and put the card into your hand, then shuffle your library. But yeah, so there's a whole cycle of cards from Shadowmoor going back on Repel Intruders. This is probably the least played limited, but it was really cool what it did. There was one called River's Grasp, and here's an Ephara of his own, by the way. Our opponent plays his own Ephara, so he's definitely on the God plan. Our opponent did Demonic Tutor for a card. If I were to guess in the God deck what card I would tutor for, probably just a good 5-color card. Me, personally, it'd be Maelstrom Nexus, but they might be thinking of something else. So we'll see what he goes for. But yeah, so there was a really fun thing. The one that really hit it big was the card Fire Spout. It was the biggest one of this cycle, the one that really showed people, oh, hey, this is a real thing, which is nice. So we're just going to cast Moldrifter. If we cast Moldrifter, we're going to have to discard a card, actually. We could cast Hero Bladehold and just pass. That's very possible. Leave up, like, Strip Mine for no good reason. We could also... Yeah, we could play Hero and then be able to play Cage Sun in the future, so let's do that. We're going to cast Hero Bladehold here. We're going to tap out. What we should have done on an earlier turn was play a Plains instead of one of these non-basics. That way we could have kept up Path of Exile. But instead we tapped a little bit incorrectly. But the good news is we're not, again, under any sort of pressure. Our opponents are playing Heliod's and Epharas. Although they are very good cards, I mean, we're playing an Ephara ourselves. We don't really have to worry that much about it. So at the beginning of his upkeep, we're going to draw a card because another creature entered the battlefield under my control last turn. So sweet, we drew an island, which is something we needed. So Hero Bladehold, if you haven't met her before, she's amazing. It is a 4-mana 3/4 with Battle Cry. When it attacks, put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. If our opponent wants to kill our Hero Bladehold with a Karka, they can. Instead, our opponent's actually going to deal all 5 damage to the Fountain Watch. So some of you guys might have been at your keyboard fearlessly typing, Tom, your opponent has a Dragonlord Tarka that costs 7 mana, he can just kill your Hero Bladehold. I, on the other hand, knew he would kill the Fountain Watch. So Fountain Watch did come down for our Shroom deck. 5 mana for a Human Cleric from Mercadian Mask. It's a 2/4. Artifacts and enchantments you control of Shroud. The reason why I was so positive and upbeat in that fact was because I totally forgot he was playing Dragonlord Atarka, and I was just kind of hoping, really. I mean, I think the decision is pretty interesting between killing Hero Bladehold and killing the Fountain Watch. Knowing your red-green deck means you can block Hero Bladehold all day. He's got an 8/8 after all. I've got a 3/4. So I'm never attacking him with the Hero Bladehold, which means that killing the Fountain Watch makes sense if you have artifact removal in your deck. Also, you always have to remember who has dealt with whose cards. That's a weird way to put that. Who has angered the other player. That's the better way to put it. Basically, because our Shroom deck did Swords of Plowshares, our Dragonlord's Ryusei, I think it's fair to... And here's a Pillar of Light exiling Dragonlord Atarka. I think it's fair to guess that that would be the reason why Atarka came down and hit the Shroom player's Fountain Watch. And after that even, we actually had a Pillar of Light exiling the Atarka, so we can expect that to be a consistent thing. That is a Cathar's Crusade, and that is one of the best cards in this entire deck. So we have two different choices, but I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attack with this Hero Bladehold, and we're going to get some tokens into play so we can trigger Ephara. We're not casting Cathar's Crusade. I think we're probably just going to be casting Cage Sun. I just want to get that out there. But if we're casting Cage Sun, we want to do that pre-combat, actually. So, yeah, let's just cast Cage Sun and just make our mana better. So the one thing is, since we're going to be drawing so many cards using Ephara, we want to be able to make sure that our mana is able to keep up with that effect. Don't get me wrong. Right now, we're not really going off, quote-unquote, but we're going to name white. So now we have a 4/5. And I think we're actually going to attack into the God deck here. The one thing that I do want to make sure is that I don't really give this God deck any sort of breathing room. That would be a bad thing, really. Damn it. So MTGO is really fickle with triggers. That's the one thing I will say, and that's the one thing that really hampers how, really showcases the differences between MTGO and in real life, right? So I clicked my Hero Bladehold trigger to put the 2/1/1s into play, but then it put the Battlecry stack on the first, even though I wanted to put that on the bottom of the stack. Whatever. I just don't get... It doesn't... Honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. So we're going to choose a player or planeswalker to attack with these soldiers. I think we're just going to split up the damage. Because why not? So. These are going to be 2/2s, of course, due to Cage Sun, but they could have been 3/2s. With Hero Bladehold, what you do is you put the Battlecry trigger on the stack first, and you put the 2/1/1s on the stack. That way the 1/1s come into play and the Battlecry effect happens. You know, I might have actually did that wrong. I don't know. Oh, we'll do it right next time. Make sure it works. How about that? So yeah, so we're making sure that we make our God deck use its mana. We do want to continue to apply pressure to that deck. And then we're just splitting up the damage between everybody else. I think that's important. So whenever you end up in a game against a player who is playing a more just a slower deck, or a deck that might be tribal or a weird tribe, you know, like gods, you do want to make sure that you put them under some kind of pressure. Those tribal decks do have these tribal decks like this tribal god deck or Child Lara player has, definitely can run away with the game if we just allow it to run away with the game. So I do want to make sure that we keep it in check. We want to put it under pressure as much as possible. Make sure he uses his mana. Make sure he's scared about what's on the battlefield. That's going to be one of the best ways that we can prevent it from, again, running away with the game. I am definitely respecting this deck more than I know a lot of people do. A lot of people look at the tribal god deck and they're like, that's a piece of poop. And I think that's wrong. You should never really look at an opponent's deck as a terrible thing. An opponent's deck can always... no one builds a deck to lose, I guess is the best way to put that. I don't know a single person who's built a deck and they're like, yep, I don't want to win with this deck. Not a single one. So always be prepared for your opponents to be able to win the game. And so never really discount a deck. Unless it's like... I've seen some bad decks, but I've lost the mono black slayers in my lifetime, so never discount a deck. Our opponent plays Dragonlord Atarka off of a Mana Geyser. Mana Geyser are a really good card, especially on MTGO, because everyone uses F8. 3 red for a sorcery, add red to your mana pool for each tap land your opponent's control. The fact that our opponent got rid of our Hero Bladehold really makes, I feel, our Cage Sun play a lot better. We could have gone for Cathar's Crusade, which would have prevented our Hero Bladehold from dying to Dragonlord Atarka, but honestly, I'd rather have the extra mana. We're going to have Repel Intruders up now. We're going to have Cathar's Crusade up. We're going to have just a lot more mana in general. It's going to let us keep using Ephara appropriately. Going to let us start using Moloku really well. We are playing... This is a very weird deck. So we are, again, playing Ephara. And for what our deck's really trying to do, We are trying to actually win by having more cards and a better board position than our opponents. It's sometimes hard to do that when it comes to Commander, but we are going to have close to 7 cards in hand as long as Ephara is on the battlefield. If you notice something really important, the reason why I believe our opponent did Demonic Tutor for Ephara there, is that with Heliod on the battlefield, all he has to do is pay 4 mana to be able to trigger Ephara to draw cards, which is why Heliod's in this deck. A Fledgling Dragon does come down. This is a 4 mana 2/2 from Judgment. It's a flyer. When you hit Threshold, that means as long as 7 more cards in your graveyard, Fledgling Dragon gets +3/+3. That means it becomes a 5/5 and has Fire Breathing, which is something we want to keep track of because we don't want to die. The usual reasons. Alright, we got 5 mana coming down. The most interesting thing so far this game is the fact that our Shroom deck hasn't played a single artifact. That is mind-boggling to me. And we have a single 4/4 made from Decree of Justice. Usually people cycle this. I know we're going to cycle it every single time we see it, but interesting to see. Mystic Gate, a really nice draw. Give us a lot more access to blue than we had before. We have a Kate Sun, so we can just simply do this. Actually, we definitely want to cast this Cathar's Crusade right now. So we're going to cast Cathar's Crusade. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control, I get to put a +1 counter on each creature I control. The reason why I'm casting this now as opposed to later is because I'm casting a Mold Drifter during my turn. And I want my Mold Drifter to be a 3/3 instead of a 2/2. So we're going to draw 2 cards, means you won't have to discard, which is nice. And so Cathar's Crusade is one of the strongest cards in our entire deck. It's simple 5 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature I control. We have 2 3/3s, and we're actually going to send both of them at Happy Meals. We are going to be attacking every single turn we can. And again, if this makes him use his mana, great. Especially if he makes 2 2/1s now, so he can't draw 2 cards, he can only draw 1 card. But he'll probably just make 1 2/1 now and make a 2/1 during the Dragon Lord player's turn, just so that he has efficiency on drawing cards. But yeah, so Cathar's Crusade is one of the strongest cards in our deck. We are a deck made to just put stuff on the battle, to just put creature tokens on the battlefield, especially during our opponent's turns. So Spawning Pit, actually a card we drew I really want to highlight for this build. I think it's one of the strongest cards in the deck, one of the most instrumental for what we're trying to do. It's a 2 mana artifact from Darksteel. You can sacrifice a creature to put a charge counter on Spawning Pit. Then you can pay a mana to remove 2 charge counters from Spawning Pit to put a 2/2 colorless spawn artifact creature token onto the battlefield. It really protects us from Wrath effects. There's a lot of times where we're just attacking mindlessly with tokens, and then our opponent's like, yeah, I'm going to Wrath of God. You sacrifice all you guys' Spawning Pit and put out a bunch of 2/2s afterwards. Really efficient. The one thing I am worried about is becoming a threat to our red-green deck, and I think that might be developing, which is why I'm happy I Path to Exile in hand. We can effectively remove some of the stronger dragons that come down with Path to Exile, and when we're going to start holding up cards like Repel Intruders, we can prevent them from coming down as well. It's kind of how this deck can shift into a control build from a regular build. We also have a 3/3 flyer that can block a Fledgling Dragon in anger. Go us. But yeah, I don't want to start taking 8 damage from Dragon Lord Tarkas. And there's a reason I'm still focusing on this God deck. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm not a betting man, but I think we're in a good place. Oh, wow, okay. I think we're in a good place, but this is a pretty cool card. Archetype of Endurance. 8 mana for a 6/5. Creatures you control have Hexproof. Creatures your opponents control lose Hexproof and can't have or gain Hexproof. One of my favorite things about MTGO, and this is coming our way, one of my favorite things about MTGO is that whenever one of these archetypes come down, they always put on your cards, doesn't have hexproof, doesn't have hexproof, doesn't have hexproof. In case you forgot, this card sure as hell does not have hexproof. I think that's just really funny. It's a delight, to say the least. Our opponent is going to block the anger, going to allow all these guys cards to have haste, and I disagree with that play, but we'll see if that pays off for in the future. He does get an extra card, so he just want to prevent the damage. That archetype really does mess up our plan, though. We really wanted to be able to destroy this Dragon Lord Tarka. Now we just need to either put an army in the air with Moloku so that we can block Dragon Lord Tarka, or just play around Wrath effects. One of the things you always want to pay attention to, I've found when it comes to Commander or just Magic in general, just cards in hand. That's a good way to see who's really running out of resources and who has a lot of resources. We're a deck that's going to have access to a lot of resources. We have 8 cards in hand. Our red-green player is already sort of running out of resources. He's down to 2 cards in hand. That's why cards like Abundance and Harmonize are so good in red-green decks. Our top right player is playing Shroom is also down to 4 cards in hand. This is something you don't usually see when it comes to Esper decks like Shroom. So I think we're in a pretty decent place where we want to be. And we will block with... we won't block. Although this has Trample, we can still block Fletching Dragons, which are going to be bigger than 4/4 Angels. Imperial Seal gets cast. A black mana sorcery, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it, you lose 2 life. Very cool spell, and a card you probably won't see out of MTGO. So one of the best things that MTGO does, or Magic the Gathering Online does, is it used to have sets that were known as Modern Masters Editions. Masters Editions, not Modern Masters Editions, Masters Editions. The idea behind Masters Editions was that there were a lot of cards that were in older sets that you just couldn't really print a limited format around. No one wants to play Homeland's Draft besides crazy people that like Loading Ready Run. So what they did was they took like really important cards from those older sets, Force of Wills, Imperial Seals. A lot of Portal to the Kingdom cards, by the way. It's only the only place you can find Portal to the Kingdom cards are on MTGO. And they would take all these cards and like cherry pick the best ones, and they would then place them into MTGO. And that way, players would be able to play with these older cards and not spend an arm and a leg. Some of my favorite examples of this are cards like Moat, which costs upwards of, I think, over $70 in real life, if not more. That costs $4 in Magic the Gathering Online. A card like Imperial Seal is only $9 online, as opposed to way more in real life. Imperial Recruiter is $7. In real life, that's like $120 or something obnoxious. Very, very, very cool how that ecosystem works. Now, it does flip on itself, by the way. When it comes to in real life product, especially contained products like the Commander decks, you can really see how a lot of the cards from the Commander decks actually cost more online because less people open sealed products when it comes to online stuff. Our Shroom deck does play Liliana Vess, 3 double black for the original Lauren version of a 5 loyalty planeswalker. +1, target player discards a card. -2, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. And -8, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Here, we are going to think. We can make a 1/1 flyer using Moorland Haunt out of this Hero Bladehold, which I think will be useful. We also have Windburst Heights that I want to get active as soon as possible, but mainly this Heliod I think is going to be really useful. Again, the ability, just like our Child of Lara deck is doing, to pump out a bunch of 2/1s, ours are 3/2s. But also just giving our creatures vigilance seems really useful right now. So that's what we're going to go for. Just going to cast Heliod here. He is 1 away from active, which we won't be able to get active for a bit, funnily enough. Now the next question is what we play next. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I would love to be able to make my creatures into 8/8s, but I can't right now. Now I could just play Moloku and then return the planes and play the planes untapped. That way I have access to Path during my turn. And then I also have... Actually, wow, that sounds great. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast Moloku. So Moloku's a 2/4 flyer for 4 and a blue. You can pay 1 to return a land I control to its owner's hand. And put a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with flying onto the battlefield. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to really use triggers. So in response to the Cathar's Crusade trigger, in order to get 2 +1 counters onto this 1/1, we are going to put an illusion into play. So if I had let this Cathar's Crusade trigger resolve, all my guys would have gotten +1/+1, sure. But now that I have another illusion, my illusion becomes a 3/3 instead of what it would have been a 2/2. So always keep stuff like this in mind. You want to maximize your plays. That's one of the ways you can easily maximize your plays. So now we have a 9/8 Vigilance Ephara, the God of the Polis, by the way, which is big. And we have our Mold Drifter is already a 5/5. We actually have enough butts in the air to easily block a Tarka, just with this illusion and Mold Drifter. And these guys have Vigilance too, which really is one of the better parts of Heliod. And we have access to Path to Exile, and we can cycle Drifting Meadow, and we can just make tokens during our opponent's turns. Everything's coming up Millhouse right now, I think is the best way to put this. So we are going to send this at Squished Love. It's a 9/8 with Vigilance, why not? We have a 5/5 with Vigilance that can go through the air. We have a 5/5 with Vigilance that can go... We could kill the Liliana. I think we will. The Liliana doesn't pose much of a threat, if I'm going to be honest. I don't really care about Liliana. I just like the ability to keep it pressured. You'll hear me constantly talk about the idea of pressure in EDH. It's something that's you see a lot in Constructed, where you want to pressure the control deck. You want to make sure they have to use their resources so you can keep abreast of them. For our deck, one of the reasons why I love it so much is that we can keep abreast of our opponent's resources easily, and then also keep up with our control decks. The other reason why I want to attack this Ephara here for 9 Commander damage is very possible the Archetype of Endurance blocks it, and if it does, we can path whatever comes down. If not, we're forced to just keep up blockers, which we can do as well. I mean, one of the things we can do is make 2 1/1s with Moloku. We'd have to bounce 2 lands, which I'm kind of okay with, but it's definitely something we can do. Interesting post-attack, post-blocks. He's just going to make a 2/1 to draw a card, is my assumption. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to make a 2/1 to draw a card during his turn. We are sending 5 through the air at him, which will be relevant in the future. Now, one of the things I am doing, which I usually don't suggest this early in the game, is we're definitely turning ourselves into the biggest threat. I think there's no doubt about it. We are currently the person that all of our opponents want to kill. Now, this is real life. They'd be conspiring against us, and even on MTGO, they will conspire against you, except you won't be able to see them conspire against you because they're not across the kitchen table. You can't be like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, nothing. It's literally like they just talk to each other in private messages. It's kind of funny. You'll see us do that sometimes in the videos. Stonecloaker. I wish I had another mana up for this guy. Because we could just, like, Stonecloaker Mole Drifters. He still might be hitting hard. Also, really good way to get rid of the anger in that guy's graveyard. Alright, we have a Scourge of Courage is coming down. That could be... okay. That is 6 double red for a 6/6 flyer. 1 in a red to deal 2 damage each creature without flying. And for 5 in a red, deal 6 damage each other creature with flying. With Cathar's Crusade, we can easily get out of that range, actually, so I'm not too concerned. Especially since he doesn't have mana up right now. Now, if our opponent does attack us with Tarka, we are going to double block with Mold Drift and this illusion. I think it's worth it. I don't really want to peel 2 lands back to my hand right now. I'd rather just leave a Path of Exile. In fact, what we're going to do right now is I will block Tarka. We're going to let him know we'll block his Atarka. That way he might attack someone else. Or he might leave it back. And we'll give him a heart. Just keeping you abreast of the issues. Oh god, is this guy gonna concede early? So one of the biggest downsides of playing on MTGO is that, and I think it's one of the worst parts, is that sometimes people concede early. First of all, never concede early. There's always more you can play. Like, if anyone draws a Wrath Effect, easy to come back in the game here. Again, our top left player is down to 2 cards in hand. I guess not too difficult. I wish we had a way to stop the Heliod play, actually. This guy is drawing 2 cards a turn, which is very scary. And in a deck that's built around being indestructible, as you can tell with Child of Lara, this constant draw is just bringing them closer and closer to Wrath Effects. Although we're keeping up with them. We're down to 78 cards in our library. He only has 79. But yeah, it looks like our middle player has a Wrath Effect. I can just... he's saying, I got you, Dave. So that's my assumption. Which is fine. If our opponent wants a Wrath, I'm in. We keep Ephara. We do lose Maloku, which sucks, but... It would have made playing Spawning Pit earlier better. I think it would have definitely made playing Spawning Pit instead of leaving up Path to Exile better. But I still like playing Path to Exile. It plays better in the long run, I think. Sorry, it plays better in the mid-game. Oh, that's right. Our opponent did Imperial Seal for a card. He doesn't have to show us because it could be any card. But I wonder what he got. A lot of black. It's like Cruel Ultimatum? What is this? Decree of Pain. I really wish we had played that Spawning Pit instead of leaving a Path. So we can destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Yeah, nothing we can do about that. That's fine. We're probably going to end up just cycling Drifting Meadow now. This also just puts our red-green deck back to the Stone Age too. Especially since we'll have Stonecloaker and these kind of cards up from now on. So Decree of Pain is an 8-mana sorcery. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. Cycling for 3 double black. When you cycle Decree of Pain, all creatures get -2/-2 until the turn. What's nice is that our Ephara has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devotion. If we draw a way to give our Ephara devotion, we can activate it. Like if we draw Stonecloaker alone makes Heliod active, which doesn't work at all actually. Yeah, we're definitely going to be cycling this Drifting Meadow. But we need to get a permanent creature on the battlefield. So Stonecloaker is the card I'm talking about. I definitely should describe what it is on stream. 2 and a white for a 3/2 stream on video. 3/2 flash flyer. When it enters the battlefield, return a creature I control to my owner's hand. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. So we're definitely going to be exiling this Anger. Just because the little poop monster is giving all of his creatures haste, and that's bad for us. Pretty simple that way, right? Now, also our Sharoom deck tutored for a very specific card. Let's see what he found. It's He's just casting Shroom. He doesn't have a single artifact in his graveyard, but he's just going for it. We're not going to even touch it. We're still just cycling this Drifting Meadow. I really want a creature so I can send both of my creatures in at the Heliod deck. He just drew way too many cards. We can't let that stay. So come on, creature. Just one. Dictated Heliod and Celestial Crusader, you say? Alright. Not going to look a Gift Horse in the mouth. Especially not a Gift Horse like Dictated Heliod. Flash, creatures my control get +2/+2. That's 19. Sounds good to me. Here, I am going to play that Spawning Pit. And I want to leave up Repel Intruders and Celestial Crusader. So instead of playing this Windburst Heights, we're going to play an Island. Ooh, is this a null? It's not. Okay, good. And again, we're going to send these both at our opposing god deck. That's 19 damage. I mean, he did just... He's got 18 cards in hand. This is always the correct play. Cyclonic Rift targeting our Heliod. Does that undevote our Ephara? It shouldn't, should it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would. Okay. Counter target creature spell. We could just Stonecloaker it back to our hand. But if we do, since we already played a land, we will be... Because just Flash into the Celestial Crusader to keep the damage coming through. Yeah, this puts us at a disadvantageous spot, but I think that's okay. Regillus mana? What's going on? Whenever a land's ability adds 1 more mana. Oh, okay. That's really much different than I thought it was going to be. So you have 3, 4, 5 mana technically. That doesn't change any of the math, by the way. We just have 5 mana. So the question is if we play Crusader or Stonecloaker. I want to get the anger out of his graveyard. So I'm going to play the Stonecloaker. I just don't want to be dragoned out of nowhere. That's not something anyone wants, especially me. And this will keep up our devotion for our Ephara. And trigger Cathar's Crusade. And do a lot of things. So we're going to exile Anger. Now he takes 12 commander damage. We get to exile the Anger, so our red-green deck's creatures no longer have haste. We now get to return this Heliod to our hand. Our Ephara retains Devotion. He uses Cyclonic Rift already, which is beautiful considering our board state. And we will deal him 12 damage, which will put him down to 14, which is good. Now we could tap out here. But there's no reason to anymore. So when I talked about the F8 key, the main thing I really mentioned was as long as you have no activated abilities for 0 or less. The 0 or less is just cute. I mean, Phyrexian mana exists, but there isn't going to be any 0 or less. But the main thing is with Spawning Pit, we can sack a creature to put a charge counter on Spawning Pit. So even if we tapped out, it wouldn't do anything. So instead, we'll pretend we have our Arcane Denial, I guess. But yeah, there isn't really a benefit. Dragon Speaker Shaman coming down. 1 double red for a 2/2 from Scourge. Dragon spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Which is nice. In a dragon deck, it's kind of what you want to be doing. Warmonger Hellkite. All creatures attack each turn of Fable. 1 to red. Attacking creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. Also, this is a 7/6. Then welcome to Dictated Heliod and Cathar's Crusade. Now, the possibility of all of our enchantments getting wiped is, like, really high. Our opponent did draw a bunch of cards off the Decree of Pain. That's why I really liked getting that Ephara hit in while we could. See what happens. The chat's going crazy if you see. Yeah, he just realized I exiled Anger. Because I had to. So our red-green opponent, he plays a Warmonger Hellkite, pretty cool card. It's a 5 mana 5/5 from the most recent commander set. It's got flying. All creatures attack each turn if able, and for 1 red, attacking creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. The other good thing about having Spawning Pit on the battlefield is simply that we can sacrifice a Ephara or Stonecloaker in response to some sort of like Tuck effect. Because remember, Tuck effect still exists on MTGO. Athreos comes down. Interesting play. He probably has... I don't know what he has. 3 and a red for a 6/5 indestructible legendary enchantment. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Athreos is a creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Athreos deals 2 damage to each opponent. 2 and a red, creature you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Bane of Progress. So yeah, this is... Remember when I said it's very possible that our stuff gets killed? This is one of the cards that can do it. Definitely a disappointment, but we should still be able to play through it. So, 4 double green. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each permanent destroyed this way. Our Ephara stays because it's indestructible. We lose everything else. But again, he's at 14. I'm not too concerned. I think we can reactivate our Ephara. We're at 28. Yeah. Goodbye, all of my amazing cards. I hate Bane of Progress. I remember when this guy first came out, how much I was jawing at it, like, yeah, Bane of Progress, and I still hold that same exact, yeah, Bane of Progress. Oh god, that card just hurts. But we should be all right. We have some really cool enablers for a Ephara in hand. One being Salt Skidder. 3 and a white for a 3/4. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you exile it, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, which is super fun. We can't activate a Ephara. We have 3. I guess we would have to play Celestial Crusader, Heliod, and Salt Skidder, which is something we just can't do. He's going to draw a card off of his Ephara. But he's at 14. He is the player I'm the most concerned about, and the player we will be attacking ruthlessly because he's at 16 cards in hand and just blew up all of our stuff. The usual reason. Unless... Scour Glass. Alright, I don't care about this card. 5 mana artifact. Sacrifice it. Destroy all permanents except for artifacts and lands. Activates ability only during your upkeep. It's a cool card, but he's got to wait till his upkeep. Unless he's going to take an extra turn. Does he have like... Okay, no, just Junk Diver. So he's finally hitting his artifact cards, but he has no artifacts in his graveyard. 3 mana 1/1 flyer. When it dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Our Chatalara deck is holding up a mana. This could easily be a Path to Exile or a Swords of Plowshares, and it probably is. He has 16 cards in hand. But I have no problem playing into it. Or is this Factory's really cute here? I really kind of just want to play Salt Skidder and Heliod. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 mana. We can do that and leave up Path to Exile. Seems worth it to me. Because we will probably need to path during our next turn. So, I'll have to play an untapped land, so we'll play this island. We have to leave up a white at the end of this. Play Heliod. Pre-combat, so that we can attack with Stonecloaker with Vigilance. Play Salt Skidder, so we can draw cards during everyone's turn. Well, if they play a creature, which is really likely. So, I love this card. A viewer suggested this card to me, and I absolutely adore it. So, Salt Skidder, sorry, you might not know what this card does, which makes a lot of sense, because no one should know what this card does. It's a 3 and a white 3/4. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, exile it. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So, we are going to attack the Happy Meals for 4, because, I mean, they just blew up all of our artifacts. The usual reason you do stuff like this. Oh, yeah. Make it a 5/3. Thank you. And if our opponent wants to path our Stonecloaker, bring it on. I'll gladly take the mana. But this will put him down to 9. Now, he could just be dead. This Warmonger Hellkite, our Red Queen player could just be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with you either. I'm going to attack you and kill you. He won't, because that just makes no sense, I don't think. But if he does, it's good for us. Of note, our opponent can play Dragonlord Tarka this turn, due to Dragon Speaker making all dragons cost 2 less. But if he does, which is really cool, though he might kill our Stonecloaker, we get to keep our Salt Skidder, because Salt Skidder will run away. It skitters away. It's cute. Super cute. But then he's also playing into Scourglass, and Scourglass will be going off during his turn, so... It's a fine line to run, and especially since that would just make Dragonlord Tarka nearly uncastable for the rest of the game, but I would do it. I don't know, I like that idea. Get rid of Stonecloaker, really stick it to the man. We're the man, by the way, we are the god of the Polis. So Dragonlord Tarka re-entering the battlefield one more time. Salt Skidder running away! Run away, Salt Skidder, run away! A man's being mean to you. By a man, I mean a frickin' dragon. He'll probably kill the Junk Diver here, because he's just value at this point. Run away. And yeah, he's dealing... Oh, all 5 to Stonecloaker. He's not even going to deal a single damage to Junk Diver. That's fine. Alright, Salt Skidder. Good job running away. And goodbye, Stonecloaker. I still don't care. See ya. You're going to become a spirit eventually from Moorland Hunt. We're probably taking 7, unless he wants to deal 5 damage to the Perforos Ephara Helia deck, which I think is also possible, but no, this is definitely coming at us. If he got rid of our Stonecloaker and didn't hit the Junk Diver, then he's looking to be singularly focused against our deck. That's my assumption. There's always a problem with doing stuff like that, where you assume your opponents... Yeah, he's going to come at us with both. Okay. Where you assume what your opponents do, because they can definitely just choose not to do that. They can just be like, yeah, you know, how about I play something totally different? And that happens just as often, I find. God, I can't wait to just destroy people with Salt Skidder. Salt Skidder, come back into play so I can draw a card during my next opponent's upkeep. Thank you. Hey, look, Salt Skidder's back. And, during your upkeep, a card into the battlefield. Haha. Is he going to path the Salt Skidder? That would be hilarious. We would still draw a card during his upkeep, but... Alright, sweet. We draw a card during his upkeep. Thank you, Salt Skidder. Today you're eating at my house. Cloudgut Ranger is really nice. Now, what could end up really badly is if our opponent doesn't activate the Scourglass. If he doesn't have a stop set on his upkeep, which he would need to have. We'll see what happens. Our Shadow Larva board is getting a bit big, so I'm going to collapse the side that says what his commander is. What if Foothill's getting used? He's going down to 8 life here. We're also at 21. I'm probably not pathing the Bane of Progress. Path Exile is one of the only cards we can use against offensively minded gods. And again, 16 cards in hand. Heliod only needs 2 more Devotion get active. Very possible we're going to be attacked by a Heliod, so I do want to path it before it comes and hits us in the face. That's at least where my thinking's at. Especially with Perforos on the battlefield, he has every single incentive to just keep playing more creatures. I am a little worried if our Esper deck doesn't Wrath during his turn, we are in a bad position when it comes to what's happening with our red-green deck. I can't deal with that many dragons. I just can't. It's impossible for me to deal with that many dragons. We're just getting attacked by Bane of Progress. Okay. Will we block is a good question. We're at going to 14. Are we lethal in the air to 14? We're lethal if we're at 21 to this guy in the air, so it doesn't matter. I think we just take it. You got me. Not even going to block. I like Salt Skidder too much. I like drawing cards. Drawing cards is one of the only ways we can get out of the situation. Because we need to draw Wrath Effect if our top right player doesn't use his Wrath Effect. That's where my thinking's at, just to explain what's going on in my head. It is relying on our opponent playing creatures, but he's so incentivized to play creatures it'd be kind of silly if he didn't. He's got both Ephara and Perforos on the battlefield. He may just... Supreme Verdict is... Alright, we lose our Salt Skidder now, but that's nice. You got me. There we go, Dragonlord Tarka. This card's never getting recast. We're at 14 now. Okay. He's at 8. We can activate these guys when we want to. Solemn Simulacrum coming into play. Alright, alright, alright. Gonna grab a land, gonna deal 2 damage to opponent. We are going down to 12 here. Now we're going to be able to activate both Ephara and Healy with Cloud Guard Ranger and Celestial Crusader during our next turn. And then we only have to really concern ourselves with our top right and our top left player. He's going to be able to make a 2-1 though, but so he won't be dead to both of these guys. If we path, it depends on what we draw. If we draw another power pumping effect for these two, then we can kill him. Oh, he's just going to use Scourglass here. Oh, wow. So we should definitely be able to kill our God deck now. I mean, do we have enough mana? I think we have enough white. We have just enough white to be able to kill our... Oh, no, it's an artifact. Scourglass does nothing. Right. My bad. As long as Lacrim's an artifact, doesn't get hit by Scourglass, stays in the battlefield, so we still can't kill this player. We're going to put him really low. We're going to make him really scared. It's nice. Again, unless we can make Heliod big enough. So we'll turn him into a 6. We'll put him to 2. That's what I see right now. If we draw Thistledown Liege, he goes to 1. It'll be weird. I think our opponent might just be recasting his commander here on the top right. And he is. Shroom's just coming back down. Gonna go for the Shroom lock, which is just constantly bringing back... That's my assumption. It's gonna bring back Scourglass. That's one of the Shroom locks. We have ways to exile artifacts, so we can deal with it in the future, but right now it's very annoying. $38, $28, we're at 12. Command Tower is a pretty nice draw. I think we just go for it. Play the Cloud Guard Ranger, activate Devotion, play the Celestial Crusader, attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll have 12 mana. 5 and 4. So we'll have enough mana to leave up Path, but not enough mana to leave up Repel Intruders. So we might just want to play Wimber's Heights. Do we have enough white mana to be able to play Wimber's Heights and leave up Path? We do not. So we need to play the Command Tower. No, we do, because this is 2 white. So yeah, we can. So we will play Wimber's Heights here. No, that doesn't make sense. I just want to play Urza's Factory. No, we're going to play the Command Tower, because I actually want to leave up Merlin Haunt. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cloud Guard Ranger. We can't leave up Merlin Haunt and play Celestial Crusader, of course, but put 3 1s into play. But the reason why I play Cloud Guard before playing Celestial Crusader is because Celestial Crusader cannot be countered. It's got Split Second, and it's got Flash, and it's got Flying out of the white creatures get +2/+2. Including our opponent's white creatures. That bears repeating. Alright, so we have a 6-7 and a 10-9. We could put our middle player to 2, but we'd be forced to pass something. We could also just make him use his mana, but then we're at 12. If we go to 10 off of that, we're really close to lethal off of Shroom. We could also just send Ephara this way, but then we're still 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He can deal at least 6 damage to us on his turn, at least. I think, yeah, I'm just going to pressure this opponent as much as possible. Again, that same constant of pressure. Now, if he doesn't make a blocker, he is smart enough to make a blocker, it looks like. We take 2. Gosh, it's the worst part about it. So we play the Cloud Guard Ranger. It's a 5 mana 4/4. Well, it's 5 mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 white Kithkin soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. We get tap 3 untap Kithkin to get it gets +2/+0 and gains flying. So now I'm just deciding whether or not to path. We have more time than pretty much everybody else on this board. So we can definitely think about it. If we path the Solemn, he goes down to 2. But no one else is going to help us get over that 2 gap. Except maybe a red-green deck, but I don't see why he would. Our God deck is definitely going to try and kill us. I think that's what we have to shoot for, though, because I'm pretty sure our top right player is going to use Scourglass. We don't have blockers for Scourglass. So we're just going to go down to at least 4. I'm pretty sure we're just dead through this whole path, unless we leave up Path and use Path to get rid of this. It's so freaking confusing. I'm going to hold the Path to Exile. The 6 damage that our top right player can do, I think, is more likely to kill us than the damage out of our God deck this turn. So we're going to use Path to Exile defensively instead of offensively. And I don't think our Dragon deck can just deal 2 damage. So that's my argument here. I'm not sure if it's a good argument, but that's what it is. I don't see how we get out of this. We got to too low of a life total. I think we played really well. I think we just became the threat too quickly. We should have definitely held off for a lot of that turns. We also got some pretty bad, unlucky draws from our opponent. That Bane of Progress, again, set us back years, I think is the correct term. Just years. If we could have Self-Like Repel Intruders or Path to Exile during some of these turns, we'd be in a much better situation. But that's the card you're dealt. Decks are full of 100 cards. Thistledown Liege. Hey! That's the card I was talking about. I love this guy. Thistledown Liege is 1 blue, white, blue, white, blue, white for a 1/3 flash. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. A lot of cards in this deck with flash. A lot of cards enabling flash. Vidalcan Orrery, Leyline of Anticipation are both in the deck. Leyline gives our Ephara Devotion too, which is nice. Looks like our red green deck just has nothing, which is sad because I really needed him to have something. Alright, so we're dead. The reason why I'm pretty sure we're dead is no matter what, this deck can deal us 6 just by making dudes. This guy's going to kill all our creatures during his upkeep, so we should be dead. We'll find out together. He's got 17 cards in hand. That's an unreal amount of cards. I love how small his board is getting. I'm just going to clear everybody else's board just so we can see what the hell's going on this side of the battlefield. I like how that didn't really help too much. Okay, K-Reach. Okay. That saves us 2 damage. That's nice. Kadama's Reach, 2 and a green. Sorcery, it's Arcane, which is a parasitic mechanic out of Kamigawa. Basically, cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards, put one on the battlefield, tap the other into your hand, then shuffle your library. Really effective card. Why I said Arcane is a parasitic mechanic, that's a develop/design term. Blasphemous Act. That's a weird card to play here. I don't get this one. Like, okay. You Blast Act did. That's weird to me. That's super weird to me. Because I was pretty sure this guy was just going to wrath the board anyways. So, okay. It only limits his mana more. He can now only make 2 guys. Which is still enough to block Ephara and Heliod, but I still think it's weird. It also got rid of the Shroom, I guess, which is nice. It actually gives us a lot more breathing room. Like, a lot more breathing room. But we'll see what happens. We can activate both of our guys again next turn if we draw a colored source. That's what I'm looking at. Alright, he's smartly not making anything else. I mean, it looks like our God deck isn't playing anything else. Sorry. Which is still super annoying. Like, Eldrazi Monument does a lot of work for us here. It just gives our guys flying. I mean, it lets us go over the God deck. I don't know if the God deck's playing any counter spells, though. So, you never know. But if we can stabilize at like 10 life against our green-red dragon deck and our Esper deck, I think we have a high chance of being able to win. Crawl Space, don't care about it. 3 mana, no more than 2 creatures can attack you each combat. Sorry, I turned off auto yields there. I F6'd. F6 is a key on Magic Gathering Online. It'll let you just yield through your entire turn. I F6 there because it was like, oh, there's nothing else you can play that I care about. Looks like I might have been right. Seal Shaper's Gift, single sorcery for 1 white mana. Search your library for an equipment card. Reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. I mean, what does he even get here? Lightning Greaves. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I would get Lightning Greaves too if I had it in my deck. Alright, now if our God deck gets greedy and makes a 2-1 at the end of his turn, we will path that 2-1. I think that's worth it. He did not get greedy. Okay. Yeah, so sorry thinking. Shouldn't be silently thinking. That doesn't do anything for you guys. So this Unleash does not activate our Ephara, which is really disappointing. But it does activate our Heliod, which is nice. I think we play Homeward Path. Use Strip Mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. To play Wayfarer's Bauble. Just attack this guy for 6. But yeah, we're in a really bad situation because we couldn't activate our Ephara. We have to be able to activate our Ephara through Scourglass, which is the hardest thing. But yeah, I've said we were dead last turnarounds. We definitely were gifted a turn that we did not deserve. But we should be pretty dead now. I think we're just dead to Perforos activations at this point. Just the worst part about it. Like, I definitely talked about how this deck could get out of hand if it was able to give the time to get out of hand. And we gave it the time to be able to get out of hand. Which sucks, because I definitely wanted to be able to win this game. That's okay, though. I think we definitely showcase what the deck can do. I mean, we're not dead until we're dead. We're at 8, but we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards off of Ephara. A bunch, as in at least one. We're also leaving up Repel Intruders, so we have the capability to be able to draw a card after his turn as well. Land, not what we were looking for. Rampant Growth from our red-green deck. Balderdash. Man, I really did want to win this game. I really did. But I don't really see a way we get out of this. Our top left and top right deck just aren't helping us at all this game. That makes sense. I mean, we presented as the biggest threat, but they just both seem to be like out of cards or something, which can happen. But yeah, that Perforos was a great draw and or tutor for. Did he draw or tutor for it? He probably just drew it in the 17 cards he drew off Decree of Pain. So yeah, so I guess what we can really trace that back to was that turn where we kept the Path to Exile instead of playing the Spawning Pit. I still think that's correct. Like, really, I do. I don't see why we would play the Spawning Pit over the over leaving up Path there. Even though Path retroactively was the incorrect play to leave up. In fact, we haven't even cast this entire game. We just left it up the entire time. But I still think leaving up Path over the Spawning Pit was correct. The reason why I'm saying that is if we had played the Spawning Pit there, we would have been able to sacrifice all our creatures, and then our Decree of Pain would have drawn 8 less cards, which would have been nice. But I don't think you can do about it now, right? But yeah, we definitely needed some help from our opponents. We just weren't able to constantly put out cards every single turn. Which is rare for this deck. I'm kind of happy. This is the first time where I just haven't had 8 cards in hand every single damn turn. Of note, our red-green deck and our Esper deck will also die to this guy just keeping making tokens off of Heliod and having Perforos on the battlefield. Like, I am not the only person getting killed here. I'm just the first person getting killed here. So, I hope before we die, we're able to repel intruders, whatever card he casts. That'd be nice, because gods are still creatures on the stack. So when we can counter with repel intruders to get 2/1/1s for fun. But if I'm him, what I'm doing this turn is honestly just activating Heliod 3 times to kill me. That's my goal. Oh, he's gonna give us the chance. All right, I'm gonna take it. I'm countering this, turning off the auto yields. Boom! Get repelled? It'd be funny if he killed us in response to take this off the stack. Think that works that way? I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I would. It'd be hilarious. Oh, do we get the counter? Come on. All right. Man, I wish there was a way I could just make this, like, there's so much empty space. That's okay. At least you get to really see in full view the player that gets to kill us, I guess. Oh, he's not going for just Heliod. All right. I mean, if you're going to give me the chance, I'm going to use it. If you play a non-god thing, it's getting pathed. I would not give me anywhere close to a semblance of a chance this game. Like, you have lethal on me right now. You should use it. All right, and he is. Good. Or not? I got to stop talking for my opponents. What are you doing? This is a lot of mana. Is this like a Genesis wave? What's going on? I'm looking at the mana on this side to see what in the world he is casting here. Colorless going out first, and then red? What? What a terrible person. We're going to path his enchantment creature, because it doesn't matter. So the Decree of Annihilation, 8 double red for rare sorcery from Scourge. Exile all artifacts, creatures, and lands from the battlefield. All cards from all graveyards and all cards from all hands. And all cards from all hands, didn't read that part. When you cycle this, destroy all lands. Oh god, are we going to peer pressure this guy from the game? That'd be messed up. Should just resolve. I mean, he should win if it resolves. It takes him a year to win, though. That's the problem. Because it's also exile, so it doesn't even keep the Dark Shell Ingot. It would just take him a year to win. He could have a single 2-1 against a person at 24, a person at 22, and a person at 6. He just concedes. Okay. Welcome to the weirdest game I've played in a long damn time. So, we're still alive, and we're going to keep trucking. What? I mean, the funny part is we're just still dead to our opponent playing his commander and hitting us with haste, but, I mean, he'd have to do that first. And I really wish we had kept that path to exile, because it means we're not dead to the hasty, whatever it's called. Alright, we lose all of our guys. Man, that was, what? How much do you cost? 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, he can't cast unless he draws a land here. Alright, don't draw a land and let me live, please. I wanna win from 6, because I don't deserve it. Come on, don't draw a land. Don't need to draw a land, it's not required. Oh, shoot! We have a chance! Oh, God! Looks like we have a chance. Guy's not our monk, you say. Okay, that gives us flyers. That gives us flyers. Okay, we can finally play this Windburst Heights. We're also going to be strip mining this Dimir Guildgate so we keep him farther off of Sharoom. Oh, wow. Eldrazi Monument is going underneath that Windburst Heights. That strip mine is going to destroy your Dimir Guildgate because I don't want you to cast your commander because it will kill us immediately. I don't usually do that play, but that play was correct here. White, white. 1, 2, 3. Play Geist Honor Monk. So this is a Vigilance 0/0. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens flying onto the battlefield. It should live by activating Heliod, I believe. I don't know how this is going to work. It's either going to work famously or work terribly. One of these things are going to happen. Either way, we can still just make tokens off of Moorland Haunt. Yeah, it comes in as a 1/1 because it counts itself. It's going to make 2 1/1 spirits. And now we're just going to pass. We're definitely going to make a 1/1 off of Moorland Haunt so we can draw a card during our opponent's turn. We now have flying creatures with vigilance. And alright, we are in this game. Somehow, some way, we got put back in this game by our opponent casting a card he put in his deck to play, and then realizing I should never play this card, what's wrong with me? I love it. Welcome to Magic the Gathering, boys. Where your opponent concedes to his own decree of annihilation. Uh-oh. Lightning Greaves came down. 2 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature has Haste and Shroud. Equips for 0. And now we have another hasty dragon probably coming down here. Let's see what he's got. A Tarka World... Jesus, there couldn't have been a worse one. Couldn't actually be a worse one to see here. That's insane. And he's got haste to give it haste. Jesus. Alright, so we do lose the game in the end. That sucks. Talk about having it all. Right, yeah. Man. That's a great draw. I can't beat that draw. Yeah, that's a silly draw. That's okay. We're going to lose. It doesn't matter. It's got double strike, and it's got flying and trample, and we're at 6. Even if we were to make another 2-4, it doesn't matter. Again, if we had kept that path, we would have lived, which is kind of funny. But we didn't know this guy was going to concede. So in the end, we lose, and it's sad, and I really didn't want to lose. It's funny how this game has just cycled the entire time. I mean, oh yeah, we're just going to take the damage. Sorry, yeah. I'm not going to concede. Just take the damage. It's more fun for the opponent when you just take the damage, I've found, so we'll just take the damage. Anyways, that'll be game for me. That'll be it for me. If I were to guess how this game ends, since we put our opponent off of being able to cast his commander in time, unless he has a Wrath effect here, he should just be dead. If our green-red deck draws another dragon, he's super dead, actually. Tarka, again, gives all dragons double strike when it attacks. Just whenever a dragon you control attacks, it gives him double strike. But if he has a Wrath effect here, he definitely gets to survive a lot longer. Treasure Mage will let him find a artifact with CMC 6 or greater, but he doesn't have 6 mana to spend on an artifact right now. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, that'll be it. I'll leave this running in the meantime while I sign off. My name is Tom. I hope you really liked the video. I don't put up videos on this channel that often. In fact, rarely. I'm currently I'm in the throes of nursing school. I have 2 weeks left. Today is April 17th. I have 2 weeks left in my nursing school for this semester. I'll be going back in fall. But it's been a blast. I've loved nursing so far. It's been awesome. This semester has been incredibly difficult for me, but it's been awesome. Made this video when I had the extra time. So have a great day. I hope you all succeed in what you want to in life. And I'm going to sign off. So, oh, if you want, so I've switched from making YouTube videos to primarily making videos on Twitch. So you can check me out at www.twitch.tv/mtgradio. And you'll see hours and hours and hours of content. Hours and hours and hours of content. Like, really. I stream on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays pretty much for 4 hours at a clock. So have a bunch of fun, and we'll see if this guy drew a dragon to win the game here. If not, he's got to battle through a Thopter Assembly. I mean, when you draw that well. Let's see what he's got. Just show if you have a dragon or not so I can click out of this game. No dragon. Alright, he might lose. I'll leave that up to mystery. I'm not watching the rest of it. Have a good day, guys.